if I write a song, it doesn't have to be heard by a million people. I would like it to be heard by someone that it moves and that heals and that touches their lives. To me, that's being successful.
Welcome back to Second Verse, the show for artists in midlife who feel that tug to return to the music that's been waiting for them. I'm your host, Becky Boyland, singer-songwriter, producer, and fellow second act creative. And today's conversation is one that goes straight to the heart. My guest is the luminous Kathi Copans, who creates under the artist name Kathi Fran. She's an artist, musician, singer-songwriter, and lifelong teacher whose work is rooted in authenticity, the kind that invites you to cry, smile, laugh, learn, reflect, and maybe even heal a little along the way. Kathi's story is one of tremendous resilience. She grew up in a deeply musical home, moved through classical training and garage band adventures, poured 15 years into shaping young musicians as a choir teacher, and then, after illness, loss, and a forced pause, rediscovered songwriting as the path back to herself. And what blossomed from that season is a body of work full of warmth, honesty, and meaning. In this episode, we talk about purpose, co-writing, production, loss, healing, and why it's okay for your music to unfold slowly and imperfectly, because the journey itself is the point. If you've ever wondered whether your art counts when life has taken you off-road for a while, this one is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome, Kathi. Thank you so much for being on Second Verse today.
Thank you for having me, Becky.
I always love to dive in with all of my guests. When did you first fall in love with music? Tell me about music as you were growing up.
I've always loved music. I have a very musical family, and I really believe that as a teacher, I believe that people can get that through genetics, and they can also, things can skip generations, and just their passion and love for it, even if it's not a genetic thing. But I always loved it, and my mom noticed she was a musician and an artist, and we always had music in the house. And so she saw me take an interest when I was 3 at learning. So she thought, I'll teach her. And so she thought I was reading, but I was not. I was playing by ear. It was just, I loved it. It was something I felt like I can do this, and I want to do this. And I was classically trained, and I was also in garage band since I was 12, playing flute, which was strange. But I always just wanted to play everything, and I always listened to harmonies. And I loved writing as a kid too, writing journaling, writing stories, poems, even in grade school. So it was just something I said, I want to do this. I want to be a rock star.
That's really awesome too, to have that classical background and be playing by ear, because I'm classically trained with trumpet, but it was not something that I ever felt like with that instrument that I could do. I could play by ear when it came to melodies, but as far as like jamming and doing those types of things, that didn't become comfortable to me until I started playing guitar. So it's really interesting that flute would be your chosen jam, you know.
It was fun, lots of fun, but yeah.
That's really awesome. And so then as you continued on with music through school, what other things did you get involved in?
I was always looking for people to play with, to jam with. I also, I wanted to play every instrument. I took some voice lessons. I was continuing with piano lessons. I picked up guitar, saxophone, and musically, this sounds terrible. I don't want the kids to know this because I taught choir for many years later, but I always thought it was very dorky to be in band or choir. Although in junior high school, I was in orchestra playing flute, but I always felt after that, that I didn't want to do it because of that. So I always did it on my own. I did lessons on my own. And that's a horrible thing to say because I taught so many kids in choir, and it was just the most fun that these kids had. So, and I wish that I was brave. I think part of it was that I was afraid to be in front of people like that.
How did you kind of make your first pivot out of music?
All through my childhood and preteens and teens and 20s, I was always in clubs, playing in clubs and writing and trying to get the music to places. And things are a lot different nowadays. But I think what was happening is that I had to make a living for myself. And so I was always stuck in offices and I couldn't stand doing that. And I was always teaching also on the side too. So I always had a night gig, a teaching, private music lessons gig, and a daytime job. So it got very tough for me. And I think I finally just, in my early 30s, I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I can't make it in music, which I know I see that as something different now. But so I said, well, what do I love doing? I love teaching. So I did go back to school and got my teaching credential, and 8 years later, started teaching. I was teaching math actually at first until I got the choir position. That was a little scary because I thought, oh, I'm an instrumentalist, but I know harmony, so I'm just going to teach them what I know. I did that for 15 years in middle school and then in high school. And it was just such a joy. It felt like I'm getting to perform because I am working with these kids and they're performing and I'm teaching them everything that I love and I'm passionate about, and they're becoming passionate about it. And it was just kind of a dream come true that I didn't know I had. So that felt like it was fulfilling my desire to perform, and which I did get to perform a couple times. I played my flute with some of the choir things and sing with them sometimes. Sometimes they would request, I want to do a solo with you. And I'm thinking, okay, all right.
It probably makes a lot of sense to people that, of course, you're a musician, and so becoming a music teacher would just be a natural thing. But it's so often so very different. Just like your anecdote about like being in band in school was not the thing that you thought was the coolest thing to do. And I'm okay with the fact that, I'm secure enough because I love being in band. But
I wish I did. I wish that I felt that way. It probably would have been, now seeing it as a teacher of music in the schools, seeing how much joy and how much fun it was, it probably would have kept me out of more trouble. And I would have enjoyed it too.
Very, very true. Yeah, very true. But it is really interesting because it is not the direct path necessarily, because they tend to sort of run in different circles. They tend to be a little bit different styles. And so that is that amazing thing of you kind of coming back around and finding an aspect of it that seemed scary at first and then turned out to be this deep love.
I miss it too, actually.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But what happened was I was doing this for 11 years and I got sick right when they switched me from middle school to high school. And I had to take some time off in between, and I really was rethinking what was I going to do. I had cancer. So I was going through chemo treatments, and I knew I didn't want to be around the kids when I was sick because they were my everything. It was like, yeah, you want to come in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you want, come in for help with homework. So I was there always with them. And so I knew I didn't have the energy at the time for that. So I took some time off and started to think, what do I really want to do? And the first thing that came was, I'm a writer. I'm a songwriter, and I love writing songs and creating that way. So I just taught myself how to do GarageBand. And, I have songs on SoundCloud that are no click track. I didn't know how to tune. I didn't know how to do anything. I just layering, messy. Anyway, so the kids begged me to come back. I got them a sub who I thought was good. They begged me to come back, and I did. So I stayed another 4 years and realized at that point, I just don't have the energy that I did, and I need some healing, and I want to figure out what do I want to do with the rest of my life. So I left. And in the time that I was rethinking, I also had many really, really hard losses in my life. Especially when I lost my mom, it was like, okay, what is my purpose in life? What am I doing? Because I was just a retired teacher at that point, and I just couldn't do anything. I was kind of stuck. That's what happens. Life's ups and downs, and we just, you do what you have to do to heal. And so I really did some soul searching, and what is my purpose? Because I wanted to be purposeful, and I was older, of course, and it just came to me that I want to write, and I want to share music, and I think I have a gift that needs to be shared. It's not from me, but it's here, and I need purpose in life. you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then I just, I learned GarageBand, went back to work with teaching, and then kind of went, okay, I'm done teaching. What am I going to do? What's my purpose?
It's really kind of interesting because as I talk with so many people on this podcast and so many journeys, it's starting to make me get much more philosophical. I've always been kind of philosophical, but I get a little bit more philosophical about my music. And it's like, well, if I just made music and nothing else came of it, is that enough? And I think the more I make the music, the more it is enough, even though that's also heading in the direction of supporting itself because of filling up that catalog. So this just gets me all thinking.
Oh, no.
The way that you're thinking.
No, I understand, because Becky, the last few years have been really hard, because thinking I had to make it, meaning I had to be successful and make money, and all this stuff was like, put so much pressure on me. And it's not really where I understand now. I think I've grown so much in the last several years with it. It's like, if I write a song and I decide, and I'm learning production now, so that's really a blast for me. It doesn't have to be heard by a million people. I would like it to be heard by someone that it moves and that heals and that touches their lives. To me, that's being successful. I don't need to even sing it. I decided in July 2025, I'm going to write a song every week, because I love writing, and I'm not going to worry about what anyone thinks and this edit, that edit. I'm just going to write a song. So I did. And I'm like, okay, where'd this come from? Usually lyrics can be a little hard for me. I'm good at journaling and writing stories, but lyrics are different, as you know. So, and the music always comes easy, but I wrote the song and I loved it. And I went, okay, I got to record this. My cat got sick. My heart and soul cat got sick. And he, I don't want to cry, but he was really my soulmate for my soul cat for 14 and a half years. So he was with me every second, and it felt like the hardest loss I'd ever had in my life. But I had written the song and recorded a scratch of it before he got sick in August. And for 2 months, my life was dedicated to just taking care of him. He had his surgery. It was cancer. And I thought that he would heal. And then he passed. So I couldn't get myself to do a real vocal on that. So I reached out to one of my songwriter friends and said, would you play guitar for me on this? And then it turned out that somehow she just recorded vocals because she loved the song too. And we were sharing the song. It's a song split. She had some suggestions that I said, you're my co-writer now. And she sang it so beautifully. I thought, I don't even need to sing this song. And even though, that's another big thing. After my cat got sick, I realized that song that I wrote, I've always been writing about Max forever. That was his name, but never came up with a song I loved about him. I realized afterwards when he got sick that song was a love song to him.
Wow.
So that's why it was so hard for me to sing it, because it's about him. And like I said, I don't even know where it came from. So my friend, she ended up doing a beautiful production of it. It's not released, but we're talking about what to do with it next. And it's amazing how music works and how we use it to heal ourselves when we write it, right? I'm sure you've experienced that too when you write. It's very healing, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that that's such a really important recognition, because when we do have that initial aspiration of, I've got to, and it's actually not just an aspiration. I think it is a pressure to think that this thing that was perfectly fine as our hobby now has to earn its keep. And I think the better that we get at it, that starts to sort of fall away, hopefully. And if it doesn't, it actually holds us back from getting better at it. But there's just so much more value in putting your all, your heart and soul into the music, because then you aren't chasing after something that's outside of yourself and that you can't really share and be influential and healing and helpful and beneficial to people when you're just worried about the dollars. And there are a lot of different ways to make a living in music, but there's also a value in great art that just gets out there, and eventually it will find its place. And I think looking at the masters across, various types of art, so many of them never saw a dime in their day, and now we think of them as just incredibly important. And at the same time, there are a lot of them that also did not give away their art for free and were, paid to do what they were doing. So there's both and we have to recognize the value of what we do, whether or not we're directly getting paid in any given moment.
I agree. And I love what you said about getting better at what we're doing. For me, it's not like getting better, so to speak, but doing more of it to my liking, to what's in my heart, and not listening so much. I mean, it's always good to get feedback from people and, hey, what do you think about this part? But as far as not worrying about, oh, does it sound okay in this person's eyes, or is this what's current? Because you really just have to go with your heart and soul and your intuition, because things are always changing, and we're all influenced in different ways with music. So my influences are different than yours and anyone else's. So I've got something different to share with the world. But if I try and make it like someone else's, it's not different, Yeah. There's value in what we have, what gifts we have to share, I think. There's philosophical. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because if we love it, if you make music that you love, there are even more chances that there are other people out there that will love it too. And it's a funny thing about influences also, because I think about some of the songs that I've done that have very clearly sounded like a certain era or genre.
Yes.
And what's funny is what gets referenced is music that I didn't hear until much after that music came out, because when I went to college, I was in a very small town. We did not have a top 40 radio station that I could get on campus. So I kind of checked out. I lived on CDs for 4 years. Oh. And so I missed a lot of artists in that time that somehow I still sort of sound like them, which means that they were influenced by the same people I was also influenced by. And it's too funny, because they were not my bread and butter, but they were almost my invisible peers. And so now I have similarities to them.
That's so interesting. I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they were listening to probably the 80s female rockers that I was listening to, and some of those other same people, and probably some 70s folk that I listened to, because my sister is a lot older than me. So I was listening to folk music when I was like 2 and 3 while my peers were watching Romper Room.
No, that was me too. And we do sing-alongs with folk songs. I, to this day, laugh at the song that I love, because we have foxes here. It was called The Fox. My dad used to play it on guitar. We'd sing that. It was just such a funny, disgusting song. The lyrics, but it always comes to my mind. But yeah, folk music, the real folk music, the protest folk type stuff is what I grew up on. So I think I'm older than you, a little older than you. But it's so cool. Yeah, lots of. Yeah. And I think I skipped the 80s because I was playing in clubs. Or maybe we played those. I don't remember.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, because when you're focused in on something and, you just didn't have access to it, and I didn't have access when I was in school.
Yeah.
So it is really funny how that all works out. But there is that generationality, I think, to it, that even when you're not necessarily tapped into it, as long as you're still tapped into some of the influences, it comes around. And I think that's just great. And what I also think is really great in music, and also I had this nostalgia for the old radio stations, though, where you did have a genre. Mm-hmm. But I think the reason why the genres blend so much now is because for a generation or two now, radio stations have been eclectic. And I worked at a radio station in the early 2000s that was 70s through current music.
Oh my gosh.
And that took me a minute to sort of figure it out. How does this work? But it was really funny though, because we had 2 radio stations, and one was an oldie station and one was this eclectic station. And I was walking through the building and they were both one time playing the same song. And it was also a song that we used as a theme song for a weekend show that was pre-recorded. And I thought, oh no, did that get loaded onto the other station? And I had this panic moment until I realized, no, this just was one of those very strange, weird moments where it was all playing it all at the same time. But it was very interesting I had a very young nephew at that time, and he would tell me about this new song he heard, and it was something from 30 years prior.
I know. It's funny. That's what the high schoolers were doing in the 2000s. They're saying, oh, let's do this song. And I'm like, but that was when I was a kid. That was a long time ago. And they go, yeah, my grandparents. I'm going, okay. No, it's the same thing that they liked good music. No matter what era, they liked good music. And you're right. Good music gets heard.
And that's good news for us as artists too. And I think when we get so focused in on reference tracks and trying to sound like somebody else, they have their place. They can be really beneficial. But if you look at a lot of the artists that are iconic, they were not trying to sound like anybody else. They were specifically trying to sound new and different and unique and fresh, like the Beatles and just anybody else that we think of as defining an era or a genre or something like that. Those are people who didn't sound like somebody else. Yeah. And I think that that's worthwhile. I think it's good to educate ourselves about what the possibilities are and then try to go beyond them. But ultimately, like we said before, just play music that you love. Yeah,
that's so true. I listen sometimes to what I'm doing, and I'm always thinking my voice is not a current sounding voice, and it's not. So, like I said, I've written with people that they're going to release the songs and they're going to sing them, and I'm happy. I love doing my own too, just because it feels good to express and to, especially if it's very personal for me. But I don't sound like any of the current stuff. And I'd love to be able to do an indie folk, and I guess I could sound like it if I keep working on it, but it's just not, and yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like, I could fit into certain genres, but I just want to do what feels right to me and I don't know. I want people to hear and someone to be moved by it, but I don't fit into all genres.
No, so. and a lot of us really don't. And that's okay. And that it really is totally okay. And I think that it can be hard initially for us and even for a long time after we kind of get started to realize that there is an audience for everybody. And when we're kind of working in a vacuum, as artists do,
yes,
it's hard to sort of have that perspective that, oh, there's probably a lot of people, not just like one or two. There's a lot of people, I just haven't met them yet, who are interested in whatever that sound is. And I think for me, it's kind of driven me to try different styles production-wise and just test out some things. And then I find myself in a place where if I do want to sing it just so I can get it out, I have to try something different. I have to see, well, what do I have in me? How far outside of my normal genre can I go? And that's been fun to kind of surprise myself sometimes, but that's also cool. To own what I'm doing and be like, hey, this is me. This is my sound.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's something that in this new year, when I start back in and start my productions, I will do that. I kind of took a break. And also during the time after I lost my kitty, I just did this, which sometimes I'm not sure why I did this, but do you see them? They're two little kittens. I got them for my cat that lost her other brother earlier this year, a dog brother. So she seemed lonely, so I got these two cats. And so it's taking me a little longer to get back into music, but I will.
And that's the great thing about it. It's going to be there. It's waiting for you.
Yeah.
When you do co-write, when you are producing, what does that creative process look like for you?
Co-writing can be a challenge, I'm sure you know. But over the years, I found people that I've learned a lot about being patient and compassionate towards myself and others because life happens. And I learned a lot with this and a few other things in my life that have come by, that I realized that you can't always push through things. You have to just say, I can't do this today. And the process, it can take a lot longer than you were thinking, and I can be impatient and want to finish things. But the process, when I write on my own, either something I'm sure you've experienced where you will wake up in the middle of the night and you've got the melody and you've got an idea. I just go and, record whatever I got and then have to decide to work on. And sometimes things come to me easier. And sometimes it's something that I have some idea in and reach out to one of my co-writers and say, hey, are you interested in writing this together? I really enjoy that. So I'm still trying to figure out my process, honestly. I just started working again we've been friends and we reach out and we help each other. And they actually did the production of a couple of songs that came out before I lost my cat. And there's one more song that I need to release, or I want to release, that they produced as well. But we've just now revisited a song that we started several years ago. And so we're just rewriting, and I'm excited about it. One of the people that I'm writing with is going to release it as her song, which I love it. And yeah, it feels so up and down. Last year I was getting a little help from a friend on promotions because I was watching what she was doing, and I reached out to her, and we've co-written before. And I asked her, would you help me and show me how to do these promo reels? And so I did some promo reels for a couple of the songs that I had released this last year, but I haven't done that lately. I will begin again. I think promoting is terribly hard for me. I don't like my face in a video. I don't like doing it. And at the same time, it's so important because how else are people going to know you're there unless you put yourself out there? So, if you want your music heard, then you have to do those uncomfortable things. So I'm learning.
That is very true. That's very true. And
I have so much to learn.
Well, it's such a different industry than what we were bystanders observing back in the day. And back in the day really is only even 10, 15 years. But
yeah,
the great importance of having to be a self-promoting artist really does fly in the face of the fact that most of us don't high function in that way. it's
more introverted.
Exactly. It's sort of like the doctors who finish medical school and then find out they have to be business owners and discover what a tremendous surprise that is. And it's just the same, only the stakes are not quite the same. for the artist. The artist, although they can be, they just might be more long term. But for the artist, the need to be a business owner is the surprise that we find, even if we're just elevating a hobby, not necessarily making it a full time. But in order to elevate that hobby and get our music out there, we do still have to figure out some of the pitfalls of self promotion.
Oh yeah, it's tough to do that. So I'm kind of gearing myself up to it because I do have one song that I'd like to release and it's ready. But like I said, I took the break. I was supposed to release it in October or November. And I never set it up to release, so I didn't. And I just said, it's going to go on hold. And at that point, I might even delve into making an AI music video for it. Do something with sketching. I might do some sketching and try that. But yeah, you're right. There's so many aspects of music if you want to get music heard. And like I said, for me, it's not about making tons of money, although that would be nice. However, it's good for me because I'm more relaxed about it and I still persist. But when things in life happen and I need to take a break, I'm okay with those ebbs and flows,
Yeah.
and starting back again. And I'm just starting to be okay with it because it's been a real challenge for me these last maybe 4 years. Just, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this, and I got to make money. And it's like, no, 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 no. And I have a lot of great teachers, which are my co-writing friends that are just, I just adore them. They've become very good friends, and they're not anywhere around me. They're in other countries. So we do a lot of Zoom calls, and some of them are just to catch up and talk, which is wonderful. And it's about, our world is not so kind right now. And so for us, being kind is really important, and as music people to put music out there that's meaningful, or it doesn't even have to be. It's just us, it's our heart. It doesn't have to be like earth shattering or anything, just from our hearts, or something fun we want to do, anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that perspective too. And I think that is the other grounding thing about putting out your music, and at this stage in our lives, that's the whole point of doing the music. It's much more about the music itself than what it can bring back to us. It's what we're putting out into the world and continuing to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And we have to do it for our soul too, not just, I got to do this because, no, I want to do this because this is my purpose in life. And at whatever speed I go, that's fine,
Yeah. We'll be back with more after this break. The second verse is sponsored by Attitude Creativity. Many indie music artists don't have a website that grows their audience and reflects who they are, so they get lost in the noise of streaming. Marketing and brand messaging with Attitude Creativity helps boost your brand and build a site that hits all the right notes. You want to be an artist who stands out from the crowd, and to do that, you need your music to be heard. If your website doesn't reflect who you are or make an impact, you feel like a singer who's been handed a pair of drumsticks instead of a mic. You deserve a website and brand messaging you can be proud of, and that doesn't take time away from your music. As an artist like you, I understand how overwhelming websites and marketing can be. And that's why, putting on my other creative hat, I put my decades of marketing and development experience to work for you. You'll no longer have to apologize for your website. You'll look and feel like a professional with a custom story branded website you can be proud of. And right now, you can get a head start with my free downloadable EPK blueprint and start building your electronic press kit to promote your music. Head to attitudecreativity.com/blueprint to get your copy. That's Attitude, ATTITUDE, creativity.com/blueprint. Second verse is brought to you by Singing Straw. Oh, you caught me in the middle of a vocal warm-up. This is one of my favorite ways to wake up my vocal cords before a singing session, or even a nice long conversation for the Second Verse podcast. It's the Singing Straw, a simple but powerful tool for straw phonation, a vocal technique that promotes healthy vocal cord closure and a gentle but mighty way to increase range and identify areas to work on. For me, it was key to regaining my voice after vocal cord paralysis. But you don't have to wait until a vocal injury to use it. In fact, I recommend that you don't. Make the Singing Straw part of your daily routine, and you'll be amazed what your voice can do. Check it out at secondversepod.com/singing straw. So talk about some of the instrumentation that you use, and what are the instrumental ways that you approach songs, because you have a number of different instruments that you play.
I was very excited because, flute has always been what I love playing, but I haven't really played a lot and had any use for it. It was a performance thing. It's a jamming instrument. If I attend a conference and they're playing music, I use it for that. It's fun. Or a songwriting retreat, it's fun. But recently I was a co-writer on a song by my dear friend Linda Anderson, and then she had someone else come in too, and I got to play flute on it, and I was so excited about that. So that's out there. It's a great song. I love it. And she's an amazing lyricist. But as far as my instrumentation, I play piano on everything because that's easy for me. And I don't call myself an excellent pianist, but I'm definitely proficient and good enough on it. I'm good on it. I should say I'm good at it. But that's what I use mainly when I am working on a song, writing or putting it down in my DAW. It's piano and vocal. I love doing vocal harmonies so much. You know, my keyboard will play whatever instrument I want. I recently did get a couple of plugins. I have a production coach that taught me when I just released a song last year called Wintering. And I produced that one. This is my first one that I released that I produced. And he helped me and recommended if I wanted strings, because I love strings on songs. He recommended I got a certain plugin, and I did. And I'm telling you, it's so hard to remember what I did and to get it to sound good, even though it's a great plugin. It's not easy. Like if I'm just using my DAW and just playing my keyboard and playing the notes for different voicings of strings and arrangements, easy, but they don't sound like real strings. So that's why I got this. But for me, I love guitar, but I don't play well enough to record it. But I do write with people that play guitar very well. So that is a good thing because they do live guitar on, they've done it on some of my stuff, which is wonderful. But basically for me, I'm at the keyboard playing piano and whatever melody lines that I need, and then just singing. And I even use the piano for bass lines and things, and I have a really nice sounding piano plugin. So that's it. I mean, and I would like to start playing live flute now on my productions because it's real nice. But anytime that I can get help with other instruments, I'm always happy to have live instruments. I just don't do it. I use the MIDI and flute and voice, and that's it for live.
That's totally great too, because there are some really great sounding plugins. And the interesting thing about some of them, because there are those who will immediately just jump on, oh, you just have to get the original instrumentalists and all of that. And believe me, I want to be able to play all the things, but it's hard to learn to play all the things. But I think what is not well understood is that many of these MIDI instruments, especially the more complicated ones when it comes to strings and things that you'll use in contact with native instruments and things like that.
Yeah,
there's a learning curve.
Oh, huge.
And there's also a great skill to being able to trigger things in a way that does have that authenticity. So to get it to truly replace live strings, it has to be played and not just dropped in. And so there's a great art to that as well. But I also will go back and forth between things that are programmed and sequenced. And I mean, 99% of the time, my guitars are real guitars because I play guitar.
Nice.
But
I'm going to have to hit you up on that someday. We'll have to do a trade or write together or something.
This is just a small sampling of them. And I love to be able to do that and collaborate and produce all of that out. And then,
nice.
And I can play bass, but most of the time it's cleaner to do it in MIDI. It just, it just is as far as my proficiency. For my skill, do I want to play it on my bass or do I want to play it on the keyboard? I'm going to probably play it on the keyboard.
Yeah, live recording. I mean, I've tried to do a live piano recording on my piano with miking it and just learning how to, I ended up putting it on one of the productions of a song my friends produced, and I sent them over the live piano. But I don't understand how people like you can do the guitar live. I mean, it was hard for me to do that with flute too, but I learned and I did it, and I think I did a decent job of the miking and that setup. But for guitar, it seems like because there's so many harmonicas and things that go, how do you do that?
Yeah, it
seems like a lot.
It's a lot of years. It's a lot of years of playing live and also playing for a lot of years to a click. Yes. If I played live, with floor wedges and didn't have in-ear monitors, trying to record to a click when you don't regularly play with a click is hard. It's so hard. But if you're used to a click and the click is your buddy, then it's like, oh, this is no big deal. And you love it. And so I'm usually pretty close to being fully in time, but I can still do a little edit if I have to. But what I prefer to do sometimes is pull my rhythm from that and, extract the groove and then apply that to other instruments, especially the ones that are programmed, so that they play with me. And
that makes so much sense. Yeah.
It really, and it makes such a difference too. And that's a great trick for a programmed bass or a bass that you played with piano, is whatever the instrument is, whatever the groove that you decide that you like, whether you're dropping in drums that have their own groove, then you can extract that groove and drop it on the bass. But you can also maybe make the bass lead a little bit if you feel like you really nailed that in keyboard form. But if I've played the acoustic guitar and I want the bass to kind of line up with that, I can pull the groove from the guitar, put it on the bass, put it on some of the drums, and make it feel like they're all in the room together. And I know I've had some tracks where I didn't do that, and then I'd listen to it in the car and I'm like, there's something wrong. And then I'll go back and do that, and that's the difference.
Yes, it does. See, with MIDI, when I played that one time when I said I'm going to mic, and now I don't have a way to do it anymore because my piano is not in my studio. But when I did put that on there, the sound was so beautiful. But I just use Native Instruments Piano Noir, and I can get some nice, realistic sounding things with it, with the pedal noise and all the different noises they make. And, it's sad because the live piano is just so much better. But there's so much to it. I'm just so impressed by what you're telling me, because I know that you can, that was my hardest thing, was playing with the click track in my ear going, and I'm really good with rhythms, but it's easy to go off. And I'm going, okay, I got to do that again. I didn't realize at the time when I was recording it that you can touch up things and you can, I didn't realize it. And that's, after I realized that, I'm thinking, that's how people can get the guitars to sound good. But you really need to have that internal, like you said, you played with the click track. So yeah, it's easy to speed up or slow down if you don't have that. So
yeah, if I don't play with a click track live now, it's like there's something missing. It's a part of the band now. But I remember the first time I tried to get started with a click track, and it was disconcerting, to say the least. But eventually it's just your friend that's keeping you on target. And I've noticed that there are certain songs that I know if that click wasn't there, I would be off to the races, because it just feels like, this song could really just get out of control. And so it's like my little buddy that just is like, hey, stay on target. The only thing is I'll have cues telling me sometimes, verses and choruses and things like that. Every once in a while I'm in the zone and I ignore the guy telling me which part I'm going to. And then I say, I got to get back on track.
Do you do a lot of live performing?
I've been a worship leader for all my adult life, and so I play every weekend with the click track. So, yeah.
Of course. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We've only been in Texas for 5 years now, and there's just one thing after the other happening in my life, and we've moved a couple times since we've been in Texas. But there are actually a lot of musical things happening here, a lot. And a lot of singer-songwriter nights where you can go and play. Oh, wow. And I did it a couple times when we first moved here, and then I didn't do it anymore. So some part of me says, do it, and just play your original stuff. And, I wouldn't want to go out and gig and do, a regular gig where you're doing covers and that sort of thing, because, I did that for too many years, and it actually, for me, it got old. And it's just like, no, that's not where I mean, it's fun, but I just don't want to do that anymore. But to do open mics where they're there for the singer-songwriters and they're listening and they want to hear what you've written. And it's just so nice. And you support other people too. We have some really nice ones here where everyone's just really quiet and you're watching. It's not like playing at a club. And like you as a worship leader, you get the same kind of attention because everyone's there to do the praise and the worship. So you're leading them. And so everyone's listening and watching and taking it in. So it's a goal that I have.
That would be great.
Yeah, there are a couple places, and I do need to get myself a piano portable one that is weighted keys, and the weighted keys portables are usually too heavy for me. So I have to work that out. I'm not sure what to do there, because usually they're more guitar friendly because people bring their guitars to play at these places. They don't have pianos. So I also would like to find maybe someone that is at those open mics that would play guitar for my songs, you know?
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot of fun, and it would just be another dimension. And I'm not quite ready yet, but I will.
I think that's awesome. That sounds like that would be a lot of fun. And as you're kind of getting into this renewed season again, tell everybody how they can follow you, keep track of what you're up to and what you'll be coming out with later in the year.
Okay. To be determined. You can follow me. I do have my music out on all streaming, and it's under my artist name, Kathi Fran, or you can check out Instagram. And I also have stuff on there that's with other artists that have released it, and I'm so proud of them and are co-writing. So just all streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, anything that's, you can go to YouTube, any of them. And, I like it when people listen or they comment on Instagram, and I will be more active to get some more promotions out there. And for new artists or for any artists, what's really nice is if you go onto social media and you support them by liking it and commenting on it. If you comment on something, it's nice as the artist to get that comment. And also there's something that someone told me with the algorithms that happens, that if someone comments, more people hear it or see it. I don't quite get it, but I'm learning. So to support me just would be to listen to the music, and you don't have to pay to listen. You can stream it on anything, and free for you. And for me, it's nice to get the listens, and
Yeah.
I just want people to hear my music, and that's all. I want people to hear it, and if it moves you, let me know. And this year coming up, I would like that song that I told you about, that is about my Macs. I would like to get that out there. However, my partner and I have been talking about what we want to do with it. And one of my dreams is to have a song in a film, because I always think of my songs as Hallmark or Disney or animated sometimes. But the songs move me. And this song in particular, I love it so much, with my friend singing it and her production of it, that I think we're going to wait to do releasing on it to see what else we can do with it, to possibly find a film that wants it. And I know that's a tough business too. But that one, I think that will find its way somewhere. And maybe not now, but look at Kate Bush. Right. I've been into her since the 80s. And because of Stranger Things taking her song, it's amazing. Moving forward, I will be releasing songs that I will produce. I also have some co-writes that others will be releasing that I'll be looking forward to. I'm not giving up my passion and what I've always wanted to do my whole life, because it really is. It's the only thing that I know of. I mean, there are other things that we do in our lives, like being nice to people, opening doors, saying kind things, smiling, or whatever. Those are all purposeful, and that is important in life. But as far as my passion and my dream, music has always been something that I'm passionate about. I love teaching. I love writing. I love helping. I'm not going to stop doing it in whatever form it comes. I think the world needs goodness and fun and laughter. So I won't stop.
What would you recommend to those who are always dreaming of music and maybe had a different career and are now going to maybe try to make this more of a front hustle, so to speak? What's your recommendation to those folks who are not sure if they can do it?
I would say just do it, and no expectations. Just do it. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself and others, and just do what you love. If you have that dream of writing or producing any of that stuff, just don't give up, because it takes a long time. I say that it can take a long time. And if you don't do it, if you don't start it today, then tomorrow you're not going to be any further with it. Be persistent, be consistent, do it every day if you can. And what do you got to lose? The only thing you have to lose is if you have that passion in you and that desire to do it and you don't do it, then that's a problem, because you will regret not doing it. So do it, practice, find other people that do it, have fun with it, enjoy it.
That's awesome. And I wholeheartedly agree. This has been such a delightful conversation. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I'll have everything in the show notes so people can keep up with you. And thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Becky. So kind of you to ask. And I loved our conversation. Thank you.
What a gift this conversation has been. I love how Kathi reminds us that the creative life isn't linear. It comes in ebbs and flows, in seasons of wintering and seasons of blooming. She taught for 15 years, walked through illness, deep loss, and the grief of stepping away from the classroom. And yet her purpose found her again through songwriting. Here are a few highlights. The way she reframed making it as shifting away from the pressure of what some might deem success, and instead leaning toward purpose and impact. Then there's her honesty about co-writing, community, and her belief that kindness is at the center of the music world she wants to help build. And finally, her deep reminder that your art matters, even if it reaches one person, because healing one person is still changing the world. And here's your actionable takeaway, especially if you're an indie artist trying to find momentum. Choose one tiny, achievable action that helps your audience experience your art. One 20-second clip, one open mic night, one co-writing session, one DM to another songwriter. Small steps create clarity, and clarity leads to confidence, which is the foundation of your brand. When you define the next right step and make it simple, you remove the overwhelm and create a path you can stick with. Your second verse begins with one action. Before we head into Kathi's beautiful track, Wintering, I'd love to ask you two quick favors. If this episode moved you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. It helps the show reach more artists who are finding their own second verse. And now, settle in for Wintering by Kathi Fran, a song full of tenderness, honesty, and the healing power of legacy.
Walking through those doors like she did a million times before kinda makes me sad. She's not there to greet me by the door. Then I see you on the porch. Makes me miss her even more. But when you turn around, my sorrow slowly fades away. 'Cause when I look at you, it's like she never went away. Mesmerized to hear you talk about her every day. And then you tell me that you miss her so much. Wish she was here and you could have one last touch. 'Cause you don't wanna let her go, don't wanna leave her in the past. But you don't have to, 'cause she'll always be here in your heart. She lives on inside of you. I guess that's what she always knew, 'cause she'll never be gone. The memories keep on and on. To be inside your house, to see her pictures on the wall. I know it makes you sad, and please just know I understand. 'Cause when I look at you, it's like she never went away. mesmerized to hear you talk about her every day. And then you tell me that you miss her so much. Wish she was here and you could have one last touch. 'Cause you don't wanna let her go, don't wanna leave her in the past, but you don't have to, 'cause she'll always be here in your heart, in your heart. She's everywhere but in your arms. She was the spring, she was the summer, she was the fall of your life, and now you're wintering, and that's alright because she's the sun, and the sun always shines. And then you tell me that you miss her so much. Wish she was here and you could have one last touch. 'Cause you don't wanna let her go, don't wanna leave her in the past, but you don't have